Hi, this is Miss Wright, and this is part two of my discussion of the opening pages of Romeo and Juliet. Um, and here we go. Okay, so we're continuing as Samson and Gregory encounter a gentleman, a servant from the Montague household, whose name is Abram or Abraham. And Gregory wants to start a fight, but he doesn't want to be held responsible for starting the fight. And he's trying to figure out a way how to get the Montague servant to initiate the fight. And we just talked about epistrophe, and here it is again with the sir and the sir at the end of the line. Matter of fact, sir, sir, and sir. Okay? So it says, "Do you quarrel, sir?" "Quarrel, sir? No, sir." "If you do, sir, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you." So they're basically saying, well, look, if you want to fight, bring it. I can handle it. And this again is about honor, identity, masculinity. The fact that he says, my master is just as good as your master. Abraham says, no better? Like, your master is not actually better than mine? And Samson says, well, sir, say better. Gregory prompts him to say better. Here comes one of my master's kinsmen. Now, Gregory is of the Capulet household. Abraham is the Montague household. And he says, say better. Here comes, if my master, if he's referring to Benvolio, then Benvolio is caught in the middle between the two families like the other characters in the play, because Benvolio is the cousin to Romeo. Romeo is a Montague. So it's very odd that a Capulet servant talks about his master's kinsman, and it's Benvolio that walks into the scene. You would think that it would be Tibble that shows up first. So it makes us think, is Benvolio caught between both of these families? Is he related? Remember, these are noble families, which means they're all related to the prince. This is a principality ruled by a prince, and therefore they're all indirectly related to each other. So this is basically a big family feud, extended family feud. And Tybalt comes in after Benvolio comes in. So it's makes this a little confusing, and I'm sure that is quite deliberate on Shakespeare's part. Samson says, yes, better, sir. You lie. Now, if you accuse your enemy of lying, that's fighting words. Draw, if you be men. Gregory, remember thy swashing blow. Meaning, remember that good swordsmanship that you have. And they begin to fight. Benvolio comes in and he says, part, fools, put up your swords. You know not what you do. His response to the violence seems quite rational. He wants to stop the violence. He's trying to get these servants to be rational, get them to get back in line. Before he can get another word out, Tybalt enters right behind him. What, art thou drawn among these heartless hinds? Heartless hinds is a reference to female deer, and it's a metaphor. It's a way of emasculating these men who are in the streets with their swords drawn out. Um, and and that goes to the whole idea of masculinity that keeps permeating this play. Turn thee, Benvolio, and look upon thy death. Now, when he says this, nothing that has happened up to this point justifies Tybalt's attitude towards Benvolio here, except that we can only guess that he is fully invested in this feud between the two families to the point of being irrational. You see a man trying to stop some violence, and your response is you want to kill him. That is not a rational response. Benvolio says, I do but keep the peace. Put up thy sword, or manage it to part these men with me. Once again, a rational response. These two men want completely opposite things. This brings more attention into the scene. Everything gets real serious. Before we were kind of joking around with sexual innuendo and the puns. No, now everything has gotten deadly serious with Tibbles' entry. Uh-oh. So Tybalt says, what? Drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word. Now, who says that? How can you have a sword out and talk of peace? Anyway, I hate peace. Who hates peace? That is not a normal thing to say. He wants violence. What kind of person hates peace? That's a question that's roaming around my head. As I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee. So it's rational to say you hate hell and you hate the Montagues, but here's a man trying to do something positive and you don't care. You want to take his life. And he says, have at thee, coward. Now, up to this point, I've been trying to remind you that there are issues of masculinity and identity in this play. And here's the word right there. So many of these men in the play are afraid to be considered cowards. They're afraid to be considered effeminate. They need to have that machismo, that uh, strong male identity in their eyes of their peers, and they will do anything to preserve it. And you'll see it as it comes, as we go through the play. So I said, makes me think about honor, about saving face, about preserving the male ego, about identity, and about masculinity. Tybalt sees peacefulness as effeminate. They are foils, meaning that Benvolio and Tybalt are foils. They're opposite characters, and so they're in conflict. They want different things. One wants, and Shakespeare does it on such a basic level that you can't miss it. One wants to resolve a negative situation. One wants to exacerbate a negative situation. This relates to the whole concept of juxtaposition for contrast, which is a structural device that Shakespeare uses throughout the play. So juxtaposition is when you put opposite things side by side to enhance their qualities, to emphasize their qualities. And he doesn't just do it with characters, he does it with scenes, he does it with imagery. It's all throughout the language. And so as you're reading, look for the various ways that juxtaposition functions in this play, and helps to keep the play really taut, really tight. So before you can relax in a comic scene, something tragic happens. And before you can become too morose in a tragic scene, there's comedy to liven up the situation. Okay, that's all I have to report for today. And please make sure you review this. I'm very concerned that you kind of observe the kind of thinking that I was trying to model for you as you go through the play. It's not a whodunit. We know what's going to happen at the end because we were told in the prologue what's going to happen at the end. So this is a play where you can actually take your time to look at the craftsmanship of the author's work, how he structures the play, how he pulls all the pieces together, and how every facet of the language helps to move this play forward. And build the conflicts, build the tensions. As you're reading, ask yourself, what do these characters want? Why are they in conflict? Who is being self-centered? Who is being altruistic? Are people motivated for the right reasons? Are people motivated for selfish reasons? What is beyond the control of the various characters, and what is actually within their control? So think deeply as you go through, and I want to see some really intelligently presented annotations, okay? And I will see you back in class. Thank you for the patience with this two-part video. And remember to subscribe or give me a like, okay? Bye-bye.